And hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this amazing event. I am greeted here with Corey, lead designer from Post Hog. Really excited for this presentation. Hey, Corey, how are you today? Thanks for
Doing
being
great.
here.
I'm excited for this.
Nice. Really awesome. So without any ado, we'll just get started. So let's have you share your screen and we'll jump into the demonstration. And while Corey is preparing, we do have a lot of great content to cover. If you all have questions or want us to slow down, just let us know in the chat. But we do want to, make sure that we get to all of this amazing goodness. So, all right, Corey, we're ready for you.
Sure thing. Yeah, so a long title here, but basically the summary is we think we have a really cool website for our product, PostHog. And Strapi helped us make it 100 times more awesome based off of the fact we didn't have a CMS before, and it's primarily a static site. And so using Strapi has really helped us. It's kind of become fundamental to a lot of the stuff we do on our site. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff to show. And yeah, let's get into it. So I guess I should go into, how do I do presenter?
Click share, yeah. Boom.
Cool. All right,
Excellent.
Let's do that. And yeah, so let's just jump right in. So PostHog is a collection of tools for engineers, essentially. It's we have a bunch of stuff that engineers need to build better products. And so we started out with product analytics, and then added session replay, and now we have this entire suite, and we just keep adding products. It's a really bad habit, but it's cool. And so that's sort of the overview of the company. PostHog.com. Feel free to check it out as we talk. And so a little bit about the team running PostHog.com. It is myself and our amazing front-end developer Eli, who is in the chat. So if you have questions, feel free to post some stuff in there, and he can reply as I'm talking. But PostHog.com is our main sales channel. I'll just jump over to the website here and show you a little bit of the homepage. But we don't have a big sales team. We have no sales team. In fact, we have 2 customer success people, and then Eli and I essentially run the website. Everyone else is working on the product, and so we have a ton of our technical documentation is on there. We have tutorials and videos, and it also now houses our community forums and community profiles, thanks to Strapi, which I'll show you in a little bit, and our company handbook. So it is a massive resource for all of us. And so we care a lot about making sure that the experience is, representative of our company. So as I said, it's a team of 2.5. Our graphic designer, who does the hedgehogs, is a huge part of that too. And we want to, make it a world-class website. And so the foundation of it is, under the hood is it runs on Gatsby. We use GraphQL, we use Tailwind for CSS, and it's hosted on Vercel. And we have total control of everything on the site because we use a lot of APIs. And so one of the big things we needed to do was to grow beyond it just being a static website. And so looking at how do we go from it being a static site to adding, community forums and profiles and stuff like this, we were hunting around, and we ended up building initially this basically widget that goes inside of our docs. So if you're in our technical documentation, I'll just click into an article in here. And once you get down to the end of the docs, there's this section of questions, and you can actually ask a question right here on the page. So the original version of this was essentially a kind of a discuss widget, but we built it ourselves, and visitors can ask a question, and then we could reply to them, and they're all public, and they would just live on the page where the question was asked. And this was really cool. It served the purpose that we wanted, and but it wasn't really going to scale. And we wanted a better solution where we could do more stuff without needing a full-time engineer, a full-stack engineer. And we also didn't really want a bloated CMS. I actually kind of pushed off using a CMS for the longest time, because in my mind, CMS is, I got to work in a certain way, and there's, it just adds a lot of cruft, and I wasn't super excited about that. So how did we end up with Strapi? Well, we decided, okay, let's look around, let's see what there is. I'll just jump to the bottom here. Our front-end developer has already been a huge Strapi fan for a long time. So in my ear, I've been hearing, we should just use Strapi. Like, what do you think about Strapi? And so when we finally got down to it and looked at stuff together, we looked at our wants and needs, and we needed something that was lightweight. We wanted to be able to host it ourselves. We have no third-party cookies on PostHog.com. That includes no Google Analytics or anything like that. And so, for our audience, that's super important. And I wanted to make sure it ran directly on PostHog.com. There are community platforms that you can put on a subdomain or kind of do some reverse proxy thing on a subdirectory. But kind of wanted to avoid all that, and just the experience is so important to us that we wanted to work exactly the way we envision in our head, or any ideas that we had, that we'd be able to do that and not have to conform to something else. And then another big point here is we didn't want to have any changes to our existing workflow. So all of PostHog.com lives in GitHub, and it's public. It's github.com/posthog/posthog.com. But all this content here lives in Markdown files. And we do this so we can track changes and leave comments and all that. So it's super important that we keep that, which is sort of tough when you're looking at using a CMS. How are you going to use a CMS, but also keep your code base? So we didn't want to change our workflow, and I'll explain how we ended up doing that. And then, of course, our wants. Our team, we don't have a room for another resource right now, and so we wanted to be able to use sort of a GUI to be able to set up the fields and not have to run migrations and all that sort of stuff. And so obviously Strapi checks that box. Easy to use API. Like I said, we didn't want to use some prepackaged software, and we wanted to integrate this with other parts of our site. And so I have so many cool examples. I just want to jump forward to them, but I'll show you all the cool stuff we did in just a minute. So what does Strapi power now? I'll just show you a quick diagram of the site. Basically everything. Strapi is a source of data. We have a ton of content in there, which feeds into Gatsby. Strapi also powers our user accounts and our community forum and how we're displaying content on there. And so shout out to Eli who put this graph together. But so yeah, we've got a lot of data coming in. When the site gets built, it goes here. And then we send some data out to Algolia for indexing, and we send our posts into Strapi. And so this is a really cool thing. And I'll go into this more in a minute. But if we're looking at the blog, we have our content that's in GitHub, which then gets processed through Gatsby, which then gets sent into Strapi, so we can do things like sorting and pulling in different posts on the client side, since it's a static site. So this is really, really cool stuff. And then we also send some information out to Zendesk and Slack where it makes sense. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into some demos, because this is the really cool part. So we have on the website, if we go to community and questions, this is our Q&A section that all these questions can either be asked directly here in the forum, or you can go to a docs page or a handbook page and at the bottom leave a question in there. And then based on the subdirectory, it will end up in one of these different categories. So what you're seeing here, these are all questions that are being hosted in our Strapi instance. So I can click into here and see a question, and here's someone on our team that replied. And I'll go over to this one because it's a cool use case here. Basically, this is being rendered client side. So when you visit this URL here, we look up in Strapi, does this question exist? And if it does, then on this slug, then it will pull in the entire thread. And you can do a bunch of things here. You can sign up for email notifications about this thread. If sort of I have this question too kind of thing. And then if you have an account here, you'll get email updates about it. We have some moderator tools like pinning the thread, and we can do this in different categories. And all these categories are set up in Strapi. And so we have a nice little conversation going back and forth here, and I can even reply if I want. And if I do this, it's going right into Strapi. We have notifications. They get sent out via Mailgun. So it's all, Strapi is basically our database for our Q&A system. And another cool thing we have is we have sort of a Zendesk integration here that we built. And so once this question is created, then it hooks into Strapi to save the ticket ID. We create a Zendesk ticket for this, and we save the ticket ID in Strapi. And then whenever we visit the page here, we get these controls that are up to date about, if someone answered the ticket in Zendesk or not. And it keeps it all up to date, which is really nice. And so if we go back to the index view here, let's just click into a category. You can also subscribe to notifications about a particular topic. And we have this sorting option, which this is all based off of since filtering and sorting is included in the API endpoints, makes it really easy to do this client side, which we wouldn't have this ability to do with a static site without something like this. Let's see how we're doing. Any questions so far? Is this getting too in the weeds, or is this?
No, it's really awesome. There is one great question because I know you mentioned you host some of your stuff on GitHub. So the question was by Mateo, I think. So with Strapi, a developer can update markdown content via code on GitHub, and a content marketer could update the same content via Strapi GUI. How do you handle that?
We've been thinking about doing that. We haven't done that quite yet. So we have essentially two types of content. One are docs content that lives in here. This is all markdown files. We've thought about a way to synchronize it so you could also edit it via Strapi. We haven't done that quite yet. So we have two ways that the content's coming in here right now. One, the flat markdown files getting ingested and they go here. And then there's other types of content, and I'll actually just skip forward really quickly. We have a community post section where, we have like a hub of a bunch of different content. And if I click new post, this is something that we only have for moderators right now. We may open it up in the future. So anyone who sees a great resource can go, oh, I think this would go really well in the founder hub. But when we create a post here and it gets listed in here, this is a client side post. And so this is something that's going directly into Strapi. And so when the site gets built, we're slurping in the hard files, and we're also taking the stuff that lives in Strapi together. And then that's where, we can sort and do all the stuff on the client side using Strapi.
Nice.
So let's, and another cool thing with questions is we also use Strapi to keep an eye on the status of questions in Slack. So when someone posts a question, hooks into Slack, and then you can see here we've got sort of the status, if there's any replies, and if the question is marked as resolved, then it will update directly in Slack, which is really nice for our team because they don't have to go click and see did anyone follow up. It just like on the fly as the status is updated, it is represented for us right there, which is really cool. And then these questions are also sent into Algolia. So I'll just open our search and search something like console, and I can go over to our questions, and we can see that, so on site build, it takes all those posts from Strapi, sends them to Algolia, gets them indexed, and then makes it super easy to find answers to questions that you may be looking for. So I'll switch over to another fun part, which is our community profiles and user accounts. So let me go to team, go to our co-founder and CEO right here. So this is his bio. It's hosted in Strapi. We have a community profile for every person. It works the same sort of way. It looks up the ID and then renders it that way. So the Strapi users and permissions plugin made this super easy because before we had a bunch of, custom rules for roles, and now Strapi just handles it all. So we can set the permissions based on role, and then so some other cool things here, like we've got this avatar. This avatar, we have a UI to be able to update it here. So I'll show you if I go to my profile. Let's just go over here, and I can hit edit and upload my avatar here. It goes right into, it goes to Cloudinary via Strapi. So using the provider upload Cloudinary, I think, you can upload it here, it goes into Strapi, and then gets sent to Cloudinary, which hosts the responsive images and gets served from our CDN, which is super nice. And we don't have to deal with uploading and all that sort of stuff. Strapi just kind of handles it all. And then we also take information from profiles and aggregate it here. So there's a bunch of custom fields about, do you like pineapple on pizza? This is sort of a huge, very important topic within it's a hot topic at PostHog. Every Monday, or actually every all hands, when we have a new person who joins the team, we ask this question, and we have a lot of people who are either very happy or very upset, one of the two. But we aggregate some of these stats from profile data, so these are always up to date. And we even have integrated it some other ways too, some of this data. So if we look at some open roles, we've got the team listed here that you'd be working, that this particular role would be working on. This is really fun. We built, so our roles here are stored on Ashby and then imported into here. And then this information on the team is coming from Strapi. And so basically there's, a handle for each team. So which team is this role on? And then on the right side, it looks it up in Strapi, aggregates it here, and actually shows you the people you'd be working with. And maybe this is a good indication you don't want to work with these people, since no one on this team likes pineapple on pizza. So that's a really bad sign. But hey, up to you. Maybe you'll enjoy working with them. So yeah, it personalizes the experience a little bit more. And then let's see, just checking the chat. Lots of pizza talk. All right, I like to see Demetrius likes pineapple on pizza. Demetrius, I think you should join. Check out posthog.com/careers. So I will switch over really quickly to our roadmap. So in our roadmap here, we have, these are all GitHub issues, and we store these in Strapi as well. So to power this roadmap, we put in a GitHub URL. When the site gets built, it hits the GitHub API and checks the reactions on either issues or pull requests. And so it kind of helps us, it shows the level of activity of, what we should be working on directly integrated into our site. Since everything lives on GitHub, we didn't want to take away from that experience. And so by just pulling some of that stuff out and rendering it here, it makes it look very, it populated with a bunch of stuff that we didn't have to do manually. And so we have this process for roadmap items going from being under consideration to in progress, and then ending up on our changelog when they're done. And it's all just handled by a couple of fields in Strapi based on the status or the expected completion date or whatever. And then this is a really fun one. You can subscribe for updates based off of something that's in the works. So if I hit subscribe for updates, because I'm signed in, it now just sent an event into PostHog, and I think it's like roadmap subscribe or something. And then a marketer can go, someone from our marketing department can go and pull that list and then email them later, all based off of their Strapi profile. So we got the email in Strapi, the event gets sent, and as a property on the event, it has the user's email. So kind of using Strapi all over the place here. As you can see, it's sort of embedded in everything we have. Changelog updates, these come directly from Strapi. So that's sort of the combination there between some things are hosted in GitHub, some things are in Strapi. A lot of this stuff would be tedious to just have to go and create a PR just for, posting a changelog update. And so we're kind of doing a little bit of both. And then I'll go into our last huge section, which I touched on this a little bit earlier, but all these posts. So we're sort of the grand vision here is we're trying to create a resource for founders and a resource for product engineers, where if you have a question, YC has a great hub for content, and it just spans a bunch of stuff that they've written in a bunch of articles from all over the place. And so we're doing sort of that, just tailored around founding companies and stuff for product engineers. And so we want to create this hub that you can consume in different ways, either based off of the most recent posts. So if we were looking at the blog, this should be sorted by most recent, I believe. Yep. So we have a bunch of blog posts. These are hard markdown files. And then the hubs, like the Founders Hub we were just talking about, these are client-side posts. These are not big, long-form content that we had a bunch of people commenting on a PR. This is just like, hey, we read this article. It's really cool. We wanted to share it with you. And that's how these posts end up here. And then, like I said, in the future, we may open this up so other people can submit content here, and then you can consume it however you want. And of course, this is all just going through Strapi. And oh yeah, so we've got authors over here on the right. How are these authors ending up here? This is in a file on the website. It's like authors.json, and then we just basically match up the handle with the user ID in Strapi, and then we can pull all of their profile information right here. And of course, I can click on his bio and end up on his profile page here. So that's a little bit about that. I think that's sort of a quick rundown of some of the fun things we've done here. But yeah, in general, took something that was flat, product pages, some flat docs, and added some interactivity. And I guess one other really cool thing to mention here is that how do you go from not having community forums to having community forums? You can get some software to install, but you have this ghost town look for the first few months, most likely, of no one's posted, so it doesn't look great. It doesn't look like there's a lot of momentum behind whatever the site is you're on. So how do you sort of seed that and make it feel like there's a lot of activity without having to make it up or pretend or create some dummy posts? And so by having the ability to have these questions inside of the docs, like I'll pull up one more time down at the bottom, each one of these questions are listed in here. So we started out just having questions on these docs pages in our original prototype. And then with Strapi, we were able to basically take all these individual questions and be like, okay, we have enough now that we can show them in some structured community forum type view. And we didn't have to start from scratch because all these questions lived other places. So that's one thing that we I don't think we could have been able to do with a lot of other platforms, and it allowed us to do it here. So I guess backing up, the most fundamental important thing for me as the designer and as kind of the owner of PostHog.com along with Eli is we want to be able to control every piece of the experience. And so when I finally was like, okay, Eli, let's give Strapi a try, I was like, oh, why don't we do this so much a long time ago? It's totally on me for not being a little more open, but I didn't realize that there was a tool out there that was just so agnostic to how to work, how to structure stuff. We can do literally whatever we want with it, and we've been having a lot of fun. So I'm not sure what we'll do next, but as you can see, Strapi is all over the site with this data that it's powering. So who knows what Eli and I will think up tomorrow? We'll end up having these random conversations like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, whatever. And then, half hour later, Eli's got a PR going and it's like, oh, this is really cool. And, with a team that's larger, I mean, obviously there's benefits to having more people, but we don't have to go through some big process to get something approved or, have a bunch of coordination. It's literally just the two of us. We can do everything you've seen here. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's really helped up the pace of our, shipping, because it just makes it really, really easy.
No, it's awesome. And I don't know how much you're able to share, but one of the questions is like, are you able to showcase some of the back end of Strapi and show how you structure some content? I don't know if you have private information there or anything like that. So I just
I think off the top it should be okay. Let me just pull it up here.
Yeah, so it's such a cool project. Really awesome. And another question I think maybe Eli could answer that in the chat is, I know you could set up Strapi like straight out of the box with its core feature. So I was just wondering like how much customizations you had to do, if any, in actual Strapi code. I think that's the cool part about it, is that you could get started easily, but you could also customize it however way you want.
Yeah, exactly. Like we started with one post type or one collection type, and then from there it just kept growing and growing. So we've got, these are all of our, let's go to the questions. So our community questions, we've now got, 1,600 questions. We didn't launch all that long ago. Pretty cool.
It's insane.
Yeah. So the questions are in here. It ties back to the user. The replies are in a different collection and then linked here. So we have which replies. And of course, I think we sort them in order. It obviously has the relations between, so people who have commented on the thread are listed here. So they're getting email updates via Mailgun there. And here's the slug. So this particular question looks like it was posted directly within the forums. But if we looked at a question that, let's see if we have another one here. Let's go into the docs, and I should just keep this page open. So let me search this one here, see if I can find it. So this one should show that it's displayed on, okay. So because it was posted on /product analytics /capture events, then I think it's aggregated to the product analytics category within the form too. So it shows up in two different places, just contextual based off of what you're looking at. And yeah, so then we've got our roadmap items. This is all the stuff that is showing between the roadmap, the in progress stuff, and also the changelog. So if something is marked as complete, then it moves over to the changelog, and we're just looking at different parameters on here. So if there's like a date of completion, it moves to the changelog. If it has a projected completion date, then it means we're working on it. We expect it to be done soon, and that goes to the in progress column.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Like, one common question that we get a lot from folks is, how do you decide when to use a collection type and when to use a component when laying out or structuring your data? Do you have any tips of how you went along deciding that, or you just kind of went?
That's a great question for Eli. He's actively typing, so I can't wait to see what he says.
Yeah, and it's definitely a question for Eli for sure. And thanks, Eli, for being in the chat. It's really awesome to have you here. Yeah, but it's really awesome. Like, for me, I'm always blown away how far you could get with like Strapi. And I like this idea. Like, for me, for instance, I'm more of a front-end developer, and I'm always interested in like shipping things to clients as quickly as possible and getting people like using the stuff. And I know some people are not as excited about it as I am, but to me, like, combining, something with like a framework that you're very familiar, like like in your case, you're using Gatsby, but it could be like any other framework that people choose. With Strapi, just gets you going so quickly. And I'm blown away by actually what you built. It's like so amazing. It's pretty awesome. It's a really good use case because like a lot of times people don't see these like intricate like ways that you could use outside of a simple blog, or content manager. So this is like really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's just like I said earlier. I mean, Eli and I just come up with, we're not stuck in a box. We can do whatever we need to do, and thankfully, one of the big benefits to working at PostHog is we're all supposed to do the best thing for the company. And so what's the best for the company, especially in the long term here? We're not optimizing for the short term, 1% CTA improvement, like click improvements or whatever. Like we want to make this a really great resource that you come here and it's just like, this is a great website. I really like it being here. It doesn't feel too salesy. And so we're always building with that in mind. And so yeah, when we're talking through little ideas, like I said, we can get it done same day, next day. It doesn't have to take a super long amount of time. And so, yeah, it's the perfect level of CMS for us. So yeah, I think we'll just skip forward here to, was looking in PostHog recently, and we started about here with Strapi before. We just had our old system of having to run migrations on the Postgres database to get questions to change the question fields or whatever. And then ever since then, this is the traffic we're getting to those individual question pages. So they're getting indexed in Google, and they're actually getting us a ton of traffic. So obviously we want posthog.com to be a great resource for everything about the company and how to use it and the docs and all that. But, I'll be the first to admit, I also type in Google PostHog, whatever the question is, and I want it, to serve up the right result. And so it's really helped us cover a broad range of topics that we didn't have before. And sometimes we'll even integrate some of the questions into our docs. If something's super obvious, then that's a good case for, say this is something we should be like, okay, we should definitely add this to the article. Then we'll take some of the content, add it to the article, and then we can archive the thread. And then hopefully the SEO traffic is going to be going to our actual docs page, which should be the authoritative source. But in the meantime, at least the content's there and people can find it. And so yeah, next steps, I think, for what we're working on, as I mentioned, we're considering this Hacker News style thing where people can post to hubs. Oh, this is a great resource for founders or product engineers. I want to share it. And so we've got some algorithm stuff in Strapi to, figure out where it should rank based off of, recency and popularity. We're hooking it in with page view stats in PostHog. So obviously we have all the stats in PostHog, so we can query PostHog and see how popular was this page, and then use that as a ranking signal in the posts and how they show up. And so for upvoting and all that. And then right now we're self-hosting this on DigitalOcean. It's worked pretty well. There has been one time though when we got on Hacker News and it overloaded our little DigitalOcean server or droplet or whatever it's called. So thinking about the move to Strapi Cloud, because I don't want to have to deal with scaling it up or scaling it down, and I know Strapi Cloud will just handle that on its own. So, but yeah, it didn't crash at all. It was just a little bit slow, obviously, because of the resources. We haven't had any issues since, because I upped it a little bit. But offloading that to something like Strapi Cloud, I think makes a lot of sense in the long run. So those are some things we're looking at for next steps.
Nice. No, it's really awesome. A really cool project. Just love how much you've done, and just amazing. And I saw like people commenting like how awesome your website and the forum looks. So really cool all around.
It doesn't feel like a job. Like every day I get to wake up and just build something cool. Like we have these little cards, like these come from Strapi. If you're marked as a moderator, I think it's, based off of your email. If you have a @posthog.com email, you instantly get added to this. And so this particular page is rendered in Gatsby, so it's not client side. So if someone updates their picture, it'll get picked up the next site build, which happens multiple times a day. So there are some small things where you got to kind of know how it works. And of course we could change the way this renders, but it works great for us, and it's not the biggest issue in the world. So it's fun to see more and more people on here, and then they can go update their own information in their bios. So they're adding, their locations and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of community profile editing and a little bit of it's been a lot of fun, and I can't believe I get paid to just work on this website all the time, because I'm having a blast, and it's definitely a lot in part thanks to Strapi.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Eli says the same. No, it's cool. It's always like fun when you get to build the things that you enjoy building, and have like things that help you out to kind of get out of the way of struggling with things and just ship fast, make changes fast, and that's really cool.
Anton's got a question about, do we use the Strapi admin? We actually kind of split for a couple things. So when we're creating a community post, like I said, we have this little form that we can create, and then it just shows up right there. So this is a UI that we built, obviously, on top of going into Strapi. For our changelog and roadmap items, we don't have a UI for this. And so one of the guys from the marketing team will go in here into roadmap, and they'll create a new entry. And so they'll use this. We haven't found a need to create a form for this, because it's just really used by one or two people. They can work through here. But for things like creating a community post, this is something we're going to open up or use by more people, or the frequency that it gets used. It made sense to build a UI here. And so, there's nothing is consistent, but we're just tackling like the next most important thing that comes. We're like playing whack-a-mole over here. Some things are in Strapi, some things we have a UI for, and then of course some come from the hard markdown files. I just love the way that we've been able to kind of merge all this stuff together, and then of course being able to query it all and sort and use all that from the Strapi API.
I love that flexibility that Strapi offers, because a lot of people do ask that question, like how much do you manage from like the admin panel? Should we create like a separate dashboard? And I feel like it all depends on how you structure your application. Like for instance, when I think of the admin panel, I think for the content managers who work for like the company who manage the content, but for your users, you might want to have a totally different experience. So you create like, the dashboard for them, like on the front end website. So it's very easy for them to log in, and you just give them the experience that they need without like the extra stuff. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it grows with you. If you need to have a polished UI, you can do it. It depends on the project. If you're doing a client project and you're in an agency, maybe you want to have it super polished. Maybe they don't want to spend the money for it. They can just use the Strapi admin. And for us, we're sort of, as we grow, things are evolving. That's why things aren't super consistent, but it's okay. And if we need to spend more time on something or polish a UI, we can do that. But yeah, for the smaller things, we don't really need to do that, and we can spend our resources on other things. So yeah, Strapi is the backstop, and then we can build on top of that, and it just works the way we need it to, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I worked in my very first dev job. One of the interesting things like I've learned about is how some people just want to do everything from scratch, and that kind of delays this ability to ship a product. So while I was at that company for a year and a half, they still haven't shipped a product, which I was like really shocked and surprised. And I think kind of figuring out what your goal is and trying to find technologies that you could kind of use together to allow you to move faster, I think that's like kind of cool. And it's a really good use case here, how you just made a decision. It's like, listen, we just want to build cool things. We don't really want to focus too much on back-end development. We just want to get stuff done. And like for you, it makes perfect sense. And this is a really, really cool project. I really appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's I think the biggest thing, is we can all spend too much time on things that don't matter, especially at the beginning. If you're starting a company or if you're setting up something like Strapi in anywhere, do you need to spend all the time to go and perfect something? Just get the MVP done, figure out, does it make sense to spend more time there, or is there something else to work on? And so by, being able to have it grow with us, we're not forced into some paradigm and then we have to like complete it. But yeah, just, MVP is the name of the game over here. We work quickly in small chunks and move on to the next thing. And and then it grows with us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, if anyone in the comments have any questions, let us know. But this is really, really cool, presentation, cool stuff. I'm glad, I met you through Victor. This is really, really awesome.
Yeah, likewise. It's been great. Like I said, I wish we switched to Strapi a long time ago. It's totally on me. Sorry, Eli. I know you've been trying to sell me on this for a year, but yeah, it's definitely saved us a lot of time, and we've gotten a much better place. And also it's cheaper too. I mean, imagine if we had a full stack engineer to support what we were doing without Strapi, because we like to build things ourselves, and I think that was my biggest reservation for bringing in another tool is it going to be customizable enough for what we want? But, if you look at, we've been using Strapi like a year now, I think. Was it a year? Maybe 8 months. Having another full stack engineer around would be $150,000, $200,000. And so right there alone, we've saved a ton of money, not just time. So that's definitely something that our head of ops is appreciative of, as well as I'm sure our investors too.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I remember like when I learned about the superpower of Strapi, like I always liked it because I switched into development like late in my life. And so I wanted to build cool things really quickly. But again, like going the full stack route, just so much stuff to learn. So I would always use Strapi. And I remember getting a job where most of the developers were like Python developers, but the company wanted to try a new product. And literally I came up to them and said, hey, let me build a MVC with React and Strapi, and then you could make a decision if this is something you want to pursue. And the cool thing is like a intermediate or like closer to beginner level, like a front-end developer, I was able to jumpstart this product that kind of they were able to test with like their alpha users and to kind of see, hey, there's a need for it. And once like they were sold on it, they were able to hire more like JavaScript developers who didn't have to be like these back-end experts to continue building out the MVC. And it was like really cool to see how Strapi empowered them to try something really quickly that proved to make sense and became one of their offerings down the road, which I thought was like so amazing.
Yeah, and you don't even have to re-architect anything. Like you can build on Strapi to start. And then do you really need to move off of it and build your own custom thing? Like, not really. It does everything you need. And so, yeah, the time savings alone is awesome. But yeah, we want to build things for users. And, if for someone looking at something like Strapi, it's an obvious choice. You don't have to deal with all the stuff that, like when you're spinning up a new project, there's so much you have to do, user authentication and this and that, all the stuff like something. Strapi just handles all this out of the box, and you're that much quicker to just being able to get text on a page that then you can show to your users or whatever your use case is. So it's just handled so much that we don't have to rebuild from scratch. which saved a ton of time and gotten us to our end goals a lot quicker.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I don't see too many questions. So I guess you did a really amazing job covering everything and covering everything. So really awesome. And if you want to learn more about Corey, I'll put his Twitter handle in here and also the website. You could check it out. I think it's an amazing site. The UI is cool. A really great job what you and your team did. And really appreciate you coming here. So if we don't have any questions, any last parting wisdom before you and Eli go for today?
I would just say, if you're thinking about Strapi, just go sign up for it now. Like, don't make the mistake I did. You'll lose a year and you'll spend a lot of time making things way harder on yourselves than you need to. But I think, if you get in there and start using it, the possibilities open up to you. I think that's, for us, something that was really cool is, we weren't limited by anything. So when we want to go build a feature, it's like, oh, can we just build this using Strapi and then hook it into this and whatever? And we could. And so having the right tooling in place for us made the possibilities grow even more, because we knew the types of things we could do and there were no limits. And so, just like get started with the tool, go explore, have fun with it, check out the plugins. The sky is the limit. Like, there's so many cool things you can do. And for whatever you may be working on, you're going to look at those plugins and tools differently. And, something may trigger in your brain that you can go and do something that you've never seen anyone else do that is perfect for your business or your project or whatever you're doing. So, just like check it out, play around with it, have fun, and build cool stuff, because it's never been easier, and it's a ton of fun, and it's super rewarding when you get it in front of users and people actually interact with it and get to experience whatever you're building yourselves, and you can do it a lot quicker with Strapi.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And again, really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining. And with that being said, this is a great place to end. And everybody in the chat, thank you for stopping by. If you started late, don't worry, we're going to post this on YouTube for everybody to rewatch. But it was a pleasure for having you, Corey, here, and Eli in the chat. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone who joined us live. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.